In 1950, Alan Turing published a paper called Computing Machinery and Intelligence, where he asked the question, can machines think? To figure this out, he created a test called the imitation game. Yes, that's where they got the title from. How the test works is if a machine designed to give human-like responses and a human were to have a conversation with one another through text, and you weren't able to tell which was the human and which was the machine, then that proved that machines could think. This paper laid the foundation for AI and machine learning as we know it today. At the time, the field wasn't called artificial intelligence. It was called things like thinking machines, cybernetics, and automata theory. So, in 1956, John McCarthy, an assistant professor in mathematics who didn't like the direction the field was going in, decided to gather the brightest minds working on this subject to Dartmouth College. This is where John McCarthy first coined the term artificial intelligence. This conference became the birth of AI as a field of study.
If it takes 200 years to achieve artificial intelligence, and then finally there is a textbook that explains how it's done, the hardest part of that textbook to write will be the part that explains why people didn't think of it 200 years ago.
Through the 1960s and 70s, computers were able to store more information and were much faster. As the computer started to become more advanced, so did the AI. In 1966, Joseph Weizenbaum created one of the first examples of a chatbot called Eliza. Here's the program in action.
I'm depressed. My daughter left home. Okay.
It has a lot of canned phrases such as, please tell me your problem, tell me more, please go on. It's programmed to throw these out from time to time, but it doesn't really understand any of this conversation. Type in some nonsense and you'll see.
All right. Tell me more about...
Now, it's not actually an AI program, because the responses the computer gave were already pre-programmed to say that, rather than being able to change its responses depending on the question it was being asked. But this was still revolutionary for its time, as it was the basis for modern-day natural language processing. For those who don't know, NLP is just the ability for computers to understand and interpret human language, like Amazon Alexa.
Alexa, what time is it? What the hell is wrong with this blasted thing? Amanda!
Even with the progress AI was making in this short amount of time, some people weren't satisfied with the results. Sir James Lighthill, a British mathematician, criticized the field of AI in his report called the Lighthill Report. In it, he states that the development of AI was much too slow. The researchers who started the field of AI in the 1950s promised machines that would have general intelligence, and by the 70s that didn't happen. Because of the Lighthill Report, funding for AI research in the UK was reduced, and the perception people had over AI was negative. Thankfully, in the 80s and 90s, AI had a resurgence, and this is due to a number of different things. First, this was the period of the personal home computer, where companies like Apple and Microsoft were making big moves. The internet was still new, but society saw the potential these technologies had. The most notable example of this is when the #1 chess champion in the world, Garry Kasparov, faced IBM's Deep Blue in 1997, the ultimate test of man versus machine. The assumption was that Garry Kasparov would win.
I will beat the machine whatever happens because look at game one. It's a machine. At the end of that, it's stupid.
If Deep Blue will start playing competitive chess, I personally guarantee you I'll torn it in pieces, with no question.
But this happened instead.
Dark clouds quickly descended on the beleaguered Kasparov. Admittedly rattled by Deep Blue's performance, Kasparov lost the game and the match to Deep Blue.
Kasparov lost the match. This proved AI was a force to be reckoned with. The 2000s and 2010s saw an advancement in current technologies. IBM Watson won Jeopardy!
Total of 77,147.
Siri was able to understand and respond to your questions.
How do I tie a bow tie again?
Autonomous vehicles started becoming a reality, and the robot Sophia was granted citizenship by Saudi Arabia. Fast forward to 2022, when AI hit an all-time high in resurgence when OpenAI released ChatGPT, which just opened Pandora's box, and nothing has been the same. Tech companies planning in the next few years to have programmers replaced by AI, and artists suing because their work is being used by AI without their permission.
A group of prominent authors is suing the AI pioneer, accusing it of copyright infringement. Chief Business Correspondent Rebecca Jarvis has that story. Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning to you, George. And while ChatGPT can be a great resource for research and idea generation, these authors see it as a huge threat to their livelihoods and creative workers' livelihoods more generally because it's actually learned from their books without compensating them.
As the world becomes more technologically oriented, what does that mean for people who work jobs like cashiering, truck driving, or any job that's a repetitive activity? But on the other hand, it's true AI will help us be more productive. AI may even create jobs starting a new industry and helping take over jobs that's too dangerous for humans to do.
The real benefit of robots is taking over the 3 Ds, the dull, dirty, and dangerous jobs that we probably don't want human beings to be doing anyway. People are working on underwater robots that can detect underwater landmines. Some people have worked on robots that can go into nuclear facilities after an accident and shut off different valves.
Whether AI is a positive or a negative for the future is dependent on the actions that these companies will take and the government putting in regulations that'll stop these technologies from becoming uncontrollable.